Grant, you've worked with some huge companies in both the UK and the US, around the world, who have huge marketing budgets and the like. But would you have any advice for smaller companies, from whether they've got 6 employees or 60 or 120? What would your advice to them on marketing be?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, gosh, there's so many things you could say, but I'd say there are three really big tips that I'd give any business, but especially for small businesses where budgets are tight and they're trying to get the best bang for their buck. So the first thing is that understand that marketing is a strategic discipline. It's not a tactical discipline. So what people do when they think about marketing is they go straight in. If you say to someone, let's have a marketing conversation, the first thing they'll do is, well, should we go on Facebook? Should we go on LinkedIn? Should we be doing pay-per-click? Should we be sending emails? Should I do direct mails? That's all the tactics. The first question is what's the value proposition? How are we positioning against our competitors? Why should people use us as opposed to someone else? It's those kind of questions. That's all strategic, because to be honest with you, you could put the best advertising campaign together in the world, but if you haven't got those things right, it's not going to be effective. It's not going to work. So, the first thing to recognize is, before you spend a penny, get your strategy right. And my second tip then is, as part of the strategy, which for me is the most important piece of marketing, which people often overlook, which is, have you got your market segmentation and targeting right? Who is the marketplace you're targeting? Because if you are a small business, you can't possibly win the market and you can't possibly service the entire market. If you're a tiny business, if you have 0.3% market share, right, in the UK, let's say, you're probably laughing all the way to the bank. You're doing great, in many markets. So if the market you need to win is so small, the more that you can go niche, the more that you can target. What people often make a mistake is they think, well, I don't want to say I only work with them, and I don't want to say I only work with them, because then I'm excluding all these opportunities.
Yeah.
And you think, you don't need to worry about the millions of opportunities. You're only looking for 50 good ones anyway. So, so in that case, niche down, because being all things for all people actually makes you completely vanilla and nothing to anyone. Whereas if you can say, this is my audience, this is who I'm working for, this is who I advocate for, this is who I service and manufacture for, then suddenly you're interesting to that group. So the first thing is, have I got my value proposition right? Do I know what I'm selling? How I'm positioning against competitors? Have I got the strategy right? But the biggest part of the strategy is, the second part is, do I know who my target market is? And have I really nailed my messaging and my proposition for that group? Once you've done that, then you can start thinking about tactics, as it were. And then the third question is this, and it's interesting how so many people don't ask it. I get asked all the time, Grant, should I be on Facebook? Should I be on LinkedIn? Should I do pay-per-click? Should I do direct mail? Should I go to this exhibition? And I always say to people, and it almost sounds flippant because it's so obvious, but I don't mean it flippantly. And the question is, sales and marketing, there's one rule that's never going to change. You have to be where your customers are.
Yeah.
So when you've decided who that target audience is as a small business, then you want to say to yourself, where does that target audience hang out? Are they on Facebook? Are they on LinkedIn? Are they at the local IOD meetings? Do they go to this particular industry exhibition? Where are they? And then you can start to work out which activities you should be exploiting and where you should be. So strategy always, because marketing is strategic. As part of your strategy, who is my target market? I can't target everybody, because if I do, I haven't got the budget and the resource to communicate with everybody, and I'm going to be vanilla because I'm just going to be like everyone else. So pick that target market, and then once you really zone in on that, what's the messaging for them and where do they hang out? And if you get those three things right, actually, you start to be able to get bang for your buck for your marketing spend.
That's a great advice. Thank you for that, Grant.